Coming at you from the south side of Chicago, straight out of my mother's basement at my childhood home, I'd like to welcome you all to the power to persist. My dear brother, welcome to the south side of Chicago. Welcome back. You've been here before, but not here. You've not been to the basement of my childhood home in Woodlawn. The Power to Persist podcast. Excited to have you.
Honored to be here. I get flashbacks thinking about the bald-head dude from Chicago Bulls when I come to Chicago. But other than that, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man, he just happens to be right above my head over here. But we won't, we might get into that. And then, by the way, there's another picture of him around the corner.
Oh, no, I scouted the joint.
We are in the basement on the south side of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I am remarkably ecstatic to have my dear brother, Kevin Johnson, not only former NBA All-Star, but former mayor of Sacramento. But beyond that, just a wonderful spirit, a good brother who's giving back, an entrepreneur, educator. Listen, we're about to get it going. I'm excited to have him here. I'm ecstatic and honored to have you here, man.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
You went back to your hometown of Sacramento, and after a stellar NBA career, you decided to go back and be a public servant, and you became the first Black mayor in the history of Sacramento, in the place where you grew up. How did that feel for you? What did that mean for you to do that?
You know, it's funny. So I went to Cal Berkeley for college. First in my family to go to college.
Wow.
And I got a basketball scholarship.
Yeah.
And I majored in political science. So it looked like, fast forward, it looked like I knew what I was doing. I just didn't want to have a normal jock degree, like basket weaving or something. I want to say, Kevin graduated from Cal in a major that sounded good.
Got it.
So political science.
Got it.
But you fast forward, there was a phenomenon in 2007, 2008 where you had Barack Obama running for president. So this whole country was electrified. There was all this energy going around.
Okay.
And my brother one day said, Kevin, you should run for mayor of Sacramento. And I was thinking, well, I was a political science major. I didn't feel like the leadership in Sacramento was where it should be. Let me throw my hat in the ring. My grandfather used to always tell me, if you got a complaint or if there's something you feel like you can do better, don't sit on the sidelines. Throw your hat in the ring and get busy and do what you got to do. So I end up, putting my hat in the ring. I run for mayor, and it was ironic that you had President Obama going against Hillary Clinton in the primary. And you had Kevin Johnson going against an incumbent, a white lady in Sacramento.
Wow.
So it literally mirrored African-American against a white lady, it mirrored the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I got caught up and I benefited from the Obama wave. So every time he came.
So that's what pushed you in.
That definitely pushed me in.
Okay.
Every time he did something, I just got the back wind and just rolled in with him.
Okay.
But one of the craziest things that you will appreciate on November 4th, 2008.
Yeah.
That's when Obama got elected.
Yeah.
But that same day, when I went to go cast my vote for Obama, I was on the ballot, on the ticket, running for mayor. So I'm in the ballot box and I see my name.
Wow.
And then I see Barack Obama and I'm like, wow, this is historical.
Wow.
I'm thinking, well, maybe I should just keep this ballot as a souvenir.
Yeah.
Because it's historical.
Yeah.
Then I said, but what if I lose by one vote? I thought, cast my vote. Obama was going to be fine. I was worried about Kevin at that point. So that was a very historical moment.
Man, that's very telling, though, and illustrative, frankly, of how closely connected, a national race, by the way, is to a very local race.
It mirrored it 100% in this case.
I'm curious, what are the similarities between are there similarities between being the mayor of your hometown and being a professional athlete in the NBA?
Well, it's funny. One funny and one real. The funny one is, basketball is a contact sport. When you play with the elbows, it's physical, you try to penetrate somebody to check you. It's just physical. And you know that, basketball, football, sports. But I didn't realize politics was as much as a contact sport as I should have going into it. That was my bad.
You definitely haven't spent enough time in Chicago.
Clearly not. I knew nothing about Chicago. So, I would go to a community meeting and there'd be these older ladies in the front row and I'd say something and they throw sharp elbows themselves. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is just no different in sports. The NBA, you got Charles Barkley and people and being physical. You got the old lady sitting in the front row throwing sharp elbows.
Yeah.
So that was one similarity. It's a contact sport.
Yeah.
The second similarity, believe it or not, when you play sports, you have to articulate a vision. So our vision is we want to win an NBA championship. That's our goal. We all are on the same page for this goal. We want to win an NBA championship. And then secondly, I got 12 teammates and everybody wants the ball. So now I got to figure out as a point guard how to make all 12 of my teammates happy as we go after this one goal. I run for mayor of Sacramento, very similar. You got to articulate a vision. You got to have a goal for the city. And then you have all these constituents that have a variety of interests and things that they care about, and you still have to find a way to make them happy. So lo and behold, that was a similarity for me as an athlete, being a point guard, trying to win a championship and making my 12 teammates happy, as well as, running for mayor and keeping 500,000 constituents happy and engaged as well.
So in this era of, you said it, Barkley, Malone, Stockton, Jordan, Isaiah, Jordan, lessons of leadership and resilience were clear and related to your tenure of being the mayor.
I have two, what I think are really cool stories. So first one, I get drafted in the NBA out of Cal Berkeley by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So you had Lenny Wilkins, the head coach. You had Wayne Embry, the general manager, two African-American legends. Then I got traded from there to Phoenix. But in my first half a year, I'm in Cleveland and we playing the Boston Celtics. And if a game started at 7 o'clock, most of the players get there at 5:30. And if you're a rookie, if you want to get some shots in, you got to get there an hour early, which would be 4:30 in this case. Right. And I'm thinking, I want to get there really early. So I take a little, back then you take a cab. I have my gym bag. I go to the Boston Garden. It's 3:30.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get in, and all the doors are locked because it's too early. There's no event going on at that hour. Finally, some security guy sees me, and he wasn't going to let me in, but he could see I had the Cleveland Cavalier badge.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, they play tonight, so he lets me in, right? So I'm excited, I'm in. And now, the mystique of the Boston Garden. I mean, as a kid growing up, the parquet floor, the Boston Garden, does the heat work? Does the air conditioning work? Does the floor creak? All these sorts of things. So I'm inside there, and the guy said, the visitor locker room is this way.
Yeah.
And he said, the main court is that way. And I could hear some basketball activity going on in the main court. Yeah. So rather than go to the locker room, I peek, I want to see the parquet floor of the Boston Garden.
Yeah, of course.
So I go in there, I peek in there, and I look, and it's Larry Bird.
Wow.
Larry Bird is there 4 hours before the game with the ball boy. And he's shooting threes. He's working on his shot.
Wow.
So he's in the corner shooting threes.
Yeah.
And he makes his first one. So he was like a whoosh, bounce, pass, whoosh, bounce, pass.
Repetition.
Over and over.
Yeah.
So he made like 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. I'm like, all right, I'm going to leave as soon as he missed. This brother was at 35 before I just I'm going to be out here all day. So I left.
Wow.
He did not miss a shot. But the lesson for me as a young player was the work ethic. He's already an NBA champion, an all-star, a superstar. And he, at the end of his career, and he's still putting that kind of time into his craft to make sure that he's at that next level. So for me, when you just think about a lesson learned and persistence and how do you persevere, that's what Larry Bird wasn't going to let the edge get away.
Work ethic is one of the habits I talk about
to
be resilient.
There you have it.
Right, in my book. But your comment and that story leads me to another question that I've been dying to ask a former player. Although I know Barkley and we spend time, I've never even asked him this question.
Okay, wait, don't forget but can I give you one more lesson that I learned as a young player?
Yeah.
The other one was Magic Johnson, the irony of this, right?
Oh.
So now I'm in my first year, so not my rookie year. I'm in my second year in the league.
Okay.
And we didn't make the playoffs my first year.
Okay.
And I went to the LA Forum, the Lakers, and watched them play a playoff game. And they were playing against the Dallas Mavericks. So, Magic, Kareem, Byron Scott, AC Green, James Worthy, Kurt Rambis, all those guys on the team.
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks are up 3-1. So LA's down at home. Kareem would start the game, play the first 8 minutes, and then Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson was the backup center, and then he would play the rest of the first quarter and the whole second quarter. Then the third quarter, Kareem would start. It was at the end of his career, but Michael Thompson was the key. He played the end of the third quarter and all the fourth quarter. Michael Thompson in the first 4 games was having a horrible series. A horrible series. That's why they were down. They didn't get anything out of him. So Magic Johnson in this game, I'm in the stands watching. Magic Johnson gets a steal at half court. He goes down for an uncontested layup.
Mm-hmm.
He's about to lay the ball up. He stops, and everybody in the crowd go, and we're trying to figure out, like, why did he stop? And he's looking back for Michael Thompson, and he's waving him down. He's like, Michael, come on, come on. So Michael comes lumbering down. Magic gives him the ball. Michael Thompson gets a layup. That's the first shot he made that game. That little act of generosity built Michael Thompson's confidence. This guy went down, started rebounding, blocking shots, hitting shots, getting second chance points, and went on to have an unbelievable series. And they ended up beating Dallas and advancing to the Western Conference Final.
Yeah.
But the lesson for me was Magic knew it's about teamwork and it's about being unselfish. And he had to think about his teammate more than he had to do about himself.
Yeah.
And that was just a very, very powerful message. So you got Larry Bird with the work ethic, and you got Magic being unselfish in teamwork.
So that leads me to my question.
Yeah.
Because I've been dying to ask a former, professional in the NBA. What's the difference that you see with today's NBA players and the caliber and kind of players that you played with in your era?
I think, every era thinks that the next era is not as good as their era. And that's just the nature of it. I will say today's athletes, their skill level is off the chart. You got the greatest living shooter ever with Steph Curry. You got Victor, 7'7", doing things that no player. You got Luka. You just the skill level of the athletes today is off the chart. And with modern technology and massage and diets and all these things that they can do, that's why they're able to play longer. So that's one. But I think in our era, I feel like, I'm the 80s, 90s, right? And, it was rugged. You had the Lakers, you had the Bad Boys, you had the Chicago Bulls, and those teams were beasts. And this wasn't we kissing at half court and we gonna help you out. That wasn't the era. Nowadays, we all feel like they're too soft today. They're too nice. Like, all the guys I played against, John Stockton, I didn't like John Stockton. I didn't like Isaiah. I didn't like Magic or Byron Scott. I didn't like Gary Payton. I didn't like Tim Hardaway. I didn't like any of them dudes.
Wow.
Now, once I retired and I saw them, I was very friendly to them because I respected their game.
Right.
But when I'm playing during the season and the off season, I'm trying to get an edge.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of that, it feels like it's missing today. I don't feel like they have that same competitive, I'm going to take your head off if I need to and win at all costs. That was just kind of our, you get Dennis Rodman and them guys, they would do anything they could win. And so would Magic and all these other guys. But I feel like that's probably, to me, one of the biggest difference, that mindset and that, like, we ain't going soft on nobody.
I want to go in a different direction. For the last 2 decades, you and I have had an opportunity to attend something that I don't think the general public really knows about. And so I'll explain it to our listeners. So everyone knows about NBA All-Star Weekend. And they know about the dunk contest, the three-point contest, the All-Star game. But there's this thing that happens every Friday morning that's probably the hottest and hardest ticket to get in sports.
Not probably.
This NBA Technology Summit. I want to know, as a former athlete, in a room like that, tell folks what it means for the NBA to have this convening of tech titans, athletes, owners coming together for 4 to 5 hours every Friday morning to talk about the intersection of tech and sports and even what's going on in the global and national economy.
It's by invite only, so there's 400 people that can go. The way the day is set up, there's probably like 5 different panels. So panel 1 will have five, like the CEO of ESPN, a former player, an owner of a team, and YouTube.
Yes.
And that'd be one panel. And then the next panel would be another 4 or 5 different people. There'd be 5 panels on different topics. So one could be like technology and sports. Another topic can be AI.
Oh, let me tell you what happened. This year, I'm going to tell. So this year, to me, I didn't even pay attention to it. The most incredible, and I'm going to sound like a nerd here, but the most incredible panel was the one on predictive markets. It was the most, and so I emailed Adam Silver, the commissioner.
Yeah.
I emailed Adam the next day or the later that evening. I was like, man, that was the greatest panel ever. Like, those folks assembled. And then because I think it was the next Monday, because I think on CNBC the next morning, they had this discussion around predictive markets. And I was like, man, we just sat in the room with not just the more traditional, but the guys who are totally disrupting this whole thing. And I was like, I never would have, it was mine, but I never would have known anything about this.
But back to your point, your question about this technology summit.
Yeah.
So this is a time before All-Star Weekend fully kicks off that the NBA brings the business community, their sponsors, their partners, their owners, some former players, and they're talking about the future of the NBA or the future of sports, gambling and betting and all these sorts of things. And I remember the one that's probably the most powerful, but I think for your audience will get it. This was probably 10 years ago, and there was a panel, and I remember Dan Gilbert was on the panel, the owner of the Boston Celtics was on the panel, and a few other people, and they were talking about sneakers, about trading sneakers like you do on a stock market. And I was sitting there going, huh? And they called it StockX.
Yes, sir.
And I'm thinking, who will buy a sneaker that's used and then trade it on this? And they just had this insight because they have a business perspective too. And they knew that this was going to be one of the hottest companies and one of the most successful ones, obviously a multi-billion-dollar company today. But I just remember thinking, okay, they're talking about something that I didn't even get at that point in time. I can't wait to go back next year and see what those things that they're talking about that maybe I can invest in down the road, because a lot of times they're actually going to invest in those things. And another owner might be in the room and say, ooh, that's something I want to invest in. So this is still an opportunity for them to look at venture capital and private equity opportunities.
Now I tell people, look, in the room, in the deal, you may not be on the panel. We may not, we're not on the panel, but we're in the room having and listening to these conversations and gaining some insight.
Why didn't you say hello to me when we went to Share It All? You just kind of gave me a little, what's up, Kay?
You know what?
You didn't even properly
It is crazy, man, because we have been there together for years, and we always see you and we always greet. And matter of fact, this year we even walked in together, which was great. We got there early because, by the way, folks, you have to get a seat and get in there early because this place gets packed. But everything happens at the right time and in the right way, man. And the way that we came together, even after all these years of being at the Tech Summit together and at All-Star together, it's pretty wild.
Special.
All right, let me go to another direction. And now I'm gonna kind of do the fanboy thing for a second. So forgive me. There's a moment during your tenure as a player that basketball fans still talk about, and it's when you dunked on Hakeem Olajuwon. I wanted to put that out there because I cannot wait. But what do you remember about that moment, and what kind of impact does a play like that have on you as an individual and as a player?
So I'm gonna tell you, number one, I'm a little guy. I'm 6'1", relatively. Everybody's big. So if I'm ever going to try to dunk on somebody, they got to be 7 feet. That's just my thing. What credit am I going to get if I'm dunking on somebody 6'2"? Or Muggsy Bogues who 5'6", right?
Point well made.
So that's one. And then two, every athlete wants to win championships, which I did not win. And you want to have at least one signature moment that everybody remembers that moment. They remember where they were when it happened. They remember who was in it, who you did it on. I had that signature moment when I dunked on Hakeem Olajuwon. So that was a powerful moment. So what ended up happening in the background to the story is we're playing the Phoenix Suns are playing the Houston Rockets in, I think it was the Western Conference Finals. And it's 2-2 or 3-2. We're playing at home, game 5, whatever the series was. And it was in the second half and in the fourth quarter. And I had penetrated, got to the basket. The defender came over. I passed it to Charles Barkley. He went in for a shot, and Hakeem blocked it. And the score is tied, right? So then they go down and score. So now they up 2. So we come down again. I get the ball, and Kenny Smith was trying to guard me. Just kidding, Kenny. Kinda. So I shake Kenny. I go to the basket. Defender come over. So I pass off. AC Green goes up. Hakeem blocks it.
Yeah.
They go down. They don't score. So we still only down 2.
Yeah.
Get the ball again. Kenny Smith. Boom. Go to the basket. Defender comes. I pass it. Dan Marley goes up.
Yeah.
Blocks it. They go down and score. We down 4.
Yeah.
I'm like, they got to take the ball to the hole harder. Give me the ball. So on the other end, I get the basketball. I go down. I take a jump shot, believe it or not. I miss it. It's a long rebound.
Yeah.
Danny Ainge gives it to me.
Yeah.
And he passes. Of course, Kenny Smith is somewhere around here. And I'm like, I got to go for it.
Yeah.
I got to send a message. We at home.
Yeah.
He done blocked our shot 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
And he not going to expect me to come in and try to go over him.
Correct.
So he passed the ball to me. Basket's there. I see Hakeem. I go, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to try to dunk on this dude. Like, my mind was made up. I'm going to go down and end up on my back, or I'm going to be successful on the dunk. Yeah. So I go, and he see me, and he kind of a little snicker. You kind of lumber on over, and we both jump. We go up, and we both going up, and we both going up. Then he start going down. I'm still going up. Boom! I dunk it. He fouled me.
Yes.
And my energy is crazy. The fans are going crazy. My teammates are on the side going crazy. And next thing I knew, I was so geeked. I was at half court. And they waiting for me to go shoot a free throw, right? And I could see this big shadow come out to half court. It's Hakeem. He goes, "You got me, little man. You got me, but don't try it again, little man." And me, I was like, I only had to do it once. And
that's a part of the story. I don't think people have ever heard of that he said that to you.
Yeah, and then went to the free throw line, hit my free throw. And, the crazy thing, it was a great moment, but they went on and, beat us in that series and won 2 championships in a row. But I had that one moment, and it was really, it was for me you got to be fearless in this game. And that was probably my fearless moment.
Life has a funny way of testing us right when we think we have it all figured out. Those moments remind us that resilience is not about never failing. That's what the Power to Persist is all about. 8 simple habits to help you stay grounded, strong, and focused when life gets a little heavy. I'd be honored if you came along on this journey with me. Visit lamellmcmorris.com to get your copy of The Power to Persist, and listen to the Power to Persist podcast so we can continue to persist together. After the NBA, you went back home to Sacramento, the city that raised you. Why was it important for you to go back and invest in your community and build in that kind of way?
My grandfather, again, who raised me, always taught me charity starts at home. So, when I got traded from Cleveland to Phoenix, and thank God I played 11 and a half years in Phoenix and didn't get traded again. But I could have been a player who got traded multiple times. But I knew Sacramento was always going to be my home. I grew up in a poor neighborhood called Oak Park. So if you're in Chicago, the west side or south side.
Yeah, or here in Woodlawn.
I just knew I wanted to get back to that community. So every summer I'd buy a piece of property or try to open a business or try to start a community organization or try to, buy sneakers for the kids for a basketball camp. It didn't matter what it was. Education was always really important, but I knew I wanted to get back in my community.
Why was education important? Because that was one of the first issues that you focused on. Why education?
I think 2 things. Education is the passport for all of us, man. You look at every ethnic group, they gonna focus on education for their kids. And we as a community got to do that even more. So that's number 1. And then number 2, Martin Luther King had a famous quote where he talked about education plus character is the real meaning of knowledge. You need both. You need the education part, and you got to have character together, and that will allow you to do whatever you need. But if you don't have one without the other. So that was always just important. And my parents and my family instilled how important, even though none of them went to college, because it was beyond their capability at that time, and we didn't have the resources, and I had a basketball scholarship. So it was important. But one kind of funny story. So I'm a freshman at Cal Berkeley, to answer your question. And the first day of class, I go into this English class. And I get there 2 minutes late because it was a complicated building, and I had never been there before. I literally remember this. It's called the Dwinell Building. And I got to the class a couple minutes late, and there was 27 kids in the class. And the teacher and the students were having a conversation, and I didn't understand what they were talking about. And I'm thinking, is this the right? is this the right, it's an English class. And they talking about a word and different things that felt like they were Latin and like Latin root words. And I'm sitting down and finally the professor says to the students, how many of you all know what a euphemism means? And all 27 kids raise their hand. I'm like, did this class start like a couple days ago? Did I miss the first homework assignment? I had never heard of that word.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is that Latin?
Yeah.
So I lead a class feeling this small, you know, like really little. I go back to my dorm room. I said, let me go look this word up. So I get my dorm bunk, I go get my dictionary, and I go to the U's, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking,
Wow.
you, and I can't find the word.
Wow.
So then I go down the hallway, and then I got to play it off. So I asked, a dorm mate on the hallway. I said, "You got a dictionary?" Oh yeah, I got a dictionary. And they go grab it. I say, "Look up give me the word euphemism real quick."
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know it start with an E?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so there were so many lessons here.
Yeah.
So for me, how can I have went to high school just like they went to high school and go to college and I'm woefully unprepared?
Yeah.
And I don't know that one little word.
Yeah.
And all these other 27 white people all know that word.
Yeah.
So I made it a commitment in my life that I was going to go back to Sacramento.
Yeah.
And every single kid I came across, they all gonna know what this word euphemism means. They gonna know what the word means. They gonna know how to spell it, and they gonna use it in a sentence. Because I didn't want them to feel like I felt. I felt so small and so inadequate.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was fighting an uneven battle.
Yeah.
So that's why education is important to me.
You and your brother launched the National Association of Black Bookstores to honor your mom. Before we talk about the organization, tell me about your mom.
Pride and joy.
Yeah.
She has me as a young single parent, 16 years old. My dad died when I was 3. She was a nurse, RN in the poor neighborhood, worked her tail off to give me all these opportunities. But she had this exuberant energy. Like her energy was off the chart. And she just lit up a room. It didn't matter where she went. Her name was Georgia West, but her nickname was Mother Rose. Everybody called her Mother Rose. So I'm in the NBA after my rookie year. She went to every game in high school. She went to every game in college. She went to all my home games in the pros. The owner of the Phoenix Suns, actually from Chicago at the time, his name is Jerry Colangelo. Jerry calls me into the office after the season's over. He said, we got to discuss something. Dude, what happened? He said, yeah, we have a lawsuit. I'm like, what do you mean you have a lawsuit? He said, I don't know if you remember, but the last game of the season last year, he said, this lady in the stands did this high kick because you did something really good on the court. She did this high kick.
Yeah.
And her shoe came off.
Oh.
And it went all the way across the arena and hit somebody in the back of the shoulder. So they sued the Phoenix Suns.
Get out of here.
So Jerry is like, so I don't know if we can let your mom go to any more games. I'm like, that was my mom? He said, yeah. He said, the fans want to sue because they hurt their shoulder.
Get out of here.
So if your mom go to the game, can she at least go to the game with some straps on her shoes or at least some high tops where she lace them up? But that's my mom in a nutshell. You know, she was part of the NBA Mothers. And
she was proud of you.
Yeah, very proud, very proud.
Why did you feel this association of Black bookstore owners was needed? What void were you trying to fill?
My mom was a registered nurse for her professional career.
Yeah.
And then her second career was like she started a bookstore, a Black bookstore in Sacramento called Underground Books in 2003. And she did it for 22 years till she passed away a little over a year ago in December. And when she passed, my brother and I were like, how can we honor her?
Yeah.
And we she loved her Black bookstore community.
Yeah.
She just loved her Black bookstore community. So I started talking to Black bookstore owners, and they were like, we don't have an association.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all right, well, I know how to do that. I'm a former mayor. I can organize. So we created the National Association of Black Bookstores in honor of my mom. And her birthday is April 7th.
Wow.
So going forward, April 7th will be National Black Bookstore Day in the country.
Wow.
And probably 20 different jurisdictions around the country have already did resolutions or proclamation designating April 7th as National Black Bookstore Day. So
when I think about, Black bookstores, they are like hubs for conversation and community gathering. Do you think that still exists today?
100%. Like my mom said in Sacramento, Oak Park, the neighborhood I grew up in, she said her bookstore, Underground Books, is the literary headquarters of that community. And think about it too, though. In today's world, erasure, people, whatever administration, I ain't gonna go there. They trying to erase our history. The bookstores are they're the ones who are keeping our history alive.
Yeah.
And they take Black authors and a bookstore helps a Black author amplify their voice. And if they have a book then that's coming out as an author, then they gotta come to Black. Look, bro, you got this book right here.
Yes, sir.
The Power to Persist. It came out in September. You ain't done. You need to come to some Black bookstores, please.
I'm ready.
Okay,
let's go.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yes, let's go. I'm ready.
Because what it does is it allows a Black bookstore to have an author like you come in and have the pride of a Lamell coming in, doing a book signing.
Yeah.
They have a bookstore has a big payday because we're gonna sell 100 books on that day.
Yeah.
That's like a month worth of rent on a big payday.
Yeah.
The number one thing that Black bookstores want is they want big name Black authors to do book signings in Black bookstores, not Barnes and Noble,
I love it.
not Amazon, not Target, not the airport. They say get a Black bookstores a chance. So it's economic, but it's also about culture and preservation of our history too.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're sharing it, and I'm so mad actually that I did not know about this association when I first launched my book in September. But now that I know, I'm ready to partner with you and go out. Because if there ever was a place that I would want to be talking about resilience, and the book would be there.
And
right?
they are resilient.
And it's indicative of what I'm talking about.
So let me give you an example. Probably 2005, there was probably 200 Black bookstores. And then by 2015, it went down to 50. Only 50 Black bookstores in the country. Then George Floyd happened. Then the Black bookstores have went up. Now we're trending up. So there's 300 Black bookstores around the country today. And of the 300, almost 200 are brick and mortars. The others are like a pop-up or online and all that. But like they play such a critical role in our space.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I want people to really understand and feel why I love and admire you, man. Because, it's one thing to be a professional athlete and have this stellar career because you could have just kicked your feet up and said, hey, I'm good. But the fact that you would go home and that you would, like engage in like a real way back in your community, and you don't stop there. And now you're like trying to mobilize Black bookstores. Like, you are a profound anomaly and example. And I want so many young people and listeners, man, to get to know you differently than just the Kevin Johnson who played in the NBA. And to that point, you and your wife also launched Fixins Soul Kitchen, a restaurant that celebrates traditional soul food. And I was teasing you about it. I was like, hey man, is there some vegan food in there for me that I can eat? And you were like, yes, absolutely.
I said, yes, absolutely. It's a vegan secret menu because I don't want everybody ordering it. But yes, we do have it.
I mean, you're talking about fried chicken, shrimp and grits, oxtails, catfish. What inspired you to build that kind of space?
When I got done being mayor in 2006, so I was mayor from 2008 to 2016. 2016, the same time Obama left. And I just wanted to do a Black business. And I'm like, I don't do hair and face, and I ain't singing and dancing. I was like, food. My wife is a foodie. I love culture. I love food. I love creating space. My grandma's from the South. And I'm like, I think we can do an elevated soul food experience. Not elevated in terms of price point, but not a mom and pop, hole in the wall. Because a lot of times that's all we had in terms of resources. I'm like, I could create a more elevated experience. And when I played in the NBA, I went to every soul food place around the country.
Wow.
Every single one. And not knowing, but I would always take notes. What did I like about this? What did I like? If it was open when it was supposed to, half the time you go to a soul food spot, it ain't open when it's open. Or you order something, you like, well, it's on the menu, but it ain't in the inventory. And all these little things I kind of, you put away as R&D.
Yeah.
And once we decided to do it, we did what I call the Chitlin Circuit. My wife and I went to every soul food restaurant doing research in Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, and just taking notes. And then we came back to Sacramento and we did a national search. We had my grandma and family recipes, and then I did a national search. So we had 8 Black chefs come in. They all cooked on one day, cook whatever they want. We chose the one that we felt was the best for us. And then that chef plus family recipes, we put the Fixin' menu together, and that's what you have today, man. And it's in Sacramento doing well. We have one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have one in LA. We opened in Detroit. So we have 4 out there. We want to do 50 around the country, all the major cities. And we just, this month, we haven't announced it publicly, but I'll share with you.
Breaking news.
We going to Harlem.
I love it.
Fixins coming to Harlem.
Excellent.
Right next door to the Apollo Theater.
Wow. And I'm on the board of the National Urban League.
Oh,
that means
same street.
That means right on the same street as our brand new headquarters.
Can you do a board meeting there?
125. Oh, shoot.
Or at least let us feed you.
Or we'll let you feed us.
Done.
So one of the other reasons why you're a GOAT to me is because you've made a commitment to being a second chance employer and helping people re-enter the workforce. Why was that important?
Man, I grew up poor in the hood, and I see the system just getting Black males all the time.
Yeah.
You don't really do anything wrong, and then they get you, and the next thing you know, you're in the system, and then you get in a little altercation, then they put more time on. Or, back in the day, if you did cocaine was one thing, if you did marijuana was another, and if you did crack versus, all these things were always different, and Black folks always had got the short end of it.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself that if I did a restaurant, if I did a business at first and then a restaurant, how do I give people that made a mistake another chance? How can you make a mistake and not get God's grace? How can we not be a business that if you made a mistake and you made amends and you learned how to do whatever the skill is, you go through a program, you get certified, you pass all those things. How am I not going to give you a chance? It just don't make sense. So we wanted to be a second chance employer. That's very important to me, and I'm very proud of it. And all of our restaurants want to be a place that, folks who've, again, made a mistake or been accused of a mistake, one or the other, can still come to Fixins and start at the bottom and work their way up. And it's a beautiful place. Black joy.
A lot of young people are still trying to find their direction. When things get hard, what advice and lessons would you give to young people to keep, being persistent and resilient and to keep moving forward?
It's funny because I try to tell young people, find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because if you can find what you're passionate about, even a book, if I don't like reading, but I like rap music, and Jay-Z wrote a book, I'm going to pick the book up and read about Jay-Z, even though I don't think I like reading because I like rap music and I'm going to learn about Jay-Z. So you got to find things you got to meet people where they are, find things that they're passionate about. And I feel like if a young person finds something they're passionate about, whether it's sports or math or engineering or playing the piano, whatever it happens to be, it's not work at that point. It doesn't feel like anything other than I'm just doing what I love. And when you do what you love, you're never going to give up on it. You're going to be persistent to get to where you need to be because you're so passionate about it. You love what you do. And again, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting up earlier, staying later, or practicing more, or working harder when it's something you really care about. It's harder being persistent or working hard on something you don't like, or when something bad happens to you. Now, we still need those characteristics to still do it, but I just try to get young people to find something you love, find something you're passionate about, and then everything else, including persistence and determination and all those things will follow.
So you've now had success in sports, in public service, as an entrepreneur, as an educator, in all these different chapters of your life. What is the takeaway, or what are the takeaways that you would want people to know about the impact that you've tried to have on this world?
One thing. Kevin Johnson goes to bed at night. Kevin Johnson wakes up in the morning with one thought, at night and in the morning: how can I make the lives of Black people better? unapologetic. That you can be pro-Black and not anti anything else. But my community is in the last place in so many different success indicator categories. Yeah. I just want to do my part. I just want to try to improve the lives of Black people wherever I am. And so whether it's soul food, whether it's venture capital, whether it's education in charter schools, whether it's the National Association of Black Bookstores, whether it's Second Chance, don't matter what it is. I want to be known as somebody that fought alongside and created opportunities for Black people.
Kevin Johnson, you're the story that needs to be told, not just in our community, but in this country. Someone who's excelled at the highest level of sports, of public service, and just the right heart and the right spirit to give back. I can't thank you enough for taking time out on your trip here to Chicago to visit the Power to Persist podcast. But I got to ask you one question. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. recently passed. And as a public servant, but even as an athlete, as you look back and think about Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., before we wrap up, what impact did he have on your life and your journey?
Man, that's just emotional. I don't even know where to start. Like, first image of him standing on the balcony, right? As a young kid, us looking at that image, and then fast forward to him running for president in '84,
Yeah.
and then Operation Breadbasket, Push, and Rainbow, like all the things that he's done in his life. And I'm trying to figure, like, what is his legacy? Is it what he's done for all of us? Is it his family?
Yeah.
And when I see his family, I'm like, man, you got like Michael got to Jackson 5, Jesse got to Jackson 25, right?
Right.
Like, there's so many people doing so many amazing things. And, you know, Ben Crump, I think, to answer your question, he told this story. He was like, when Ben Crump was probably 3 or 4 years ago, he said Jesse's physical health was ailing a little bit. And Ben Crump was in the courtroom fighting insurance companies for Black people and whatever the case was. And he said he asked Jesse to come because he said to Jesse, if you're in the courtroom, you know, you make a statement just being in the courtroom. And, you know, so the courtroom, Ben and just arguing his case, and the judge is there, and the judge is just ridiculing him and basically just saying negative things and basically sending a message that it don't matter who you got in the courtroom, you ain't gonna win this case no matter what. And so they break for a quick, what do you call it when you break? Not intermission, what do you call it?
They take a recess.
Recess. So you do a recess.
Yep.
And Ben is out there in the hallway with his head down, and Jesse comes up to him and says, Ben, people don't drown because the water is too deep or too high. People drown because they quit kicking. And Ben, you better not quit kicking ever. I don't care what that judge says. I don't care how mean he is. I don't care what the odds are. I don't care how long a shot it is. You better not quit kicking, because Black people and us need to know you're going to kick for us no matter what the odds are, no matter how high that wall is or how deep the valley is. Ben, don't ever quit kicking. I mean, isn't that Jesse?
Typical Reverend Jackson. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being a guest on The Power to Persist.
Thank you, sir.
Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening so you stay in the know about future episodes. See you next time, my friends.
Resonate.